This is an absolute joy. I may be quite a new fan of The Office, but I have fallen very hard and I love Christmas. So when I discovered this book, I knew that I wanted to give it a go. It's not the easiest to get hold of in the UK. On Amazon, it was going to be like a 2 to 3 week wait for the delivery. I found a seller selling it on eBay and it didn't take too long to get here, but it's not that readily available in the UK. But if you're an Office fan and a Christmas fan, I'd say that this is definitely worth it. This was released last year in 2024. It's written by Brian Baumgartner and Ben Silverman. Baumgartner playing, of course, Kevin, and we have Silverman as a producer for The Office, and it's illustrated by Maël Gourmelen. I apologise if I've mispronounced that. And I will show you some personal highlights. I won't go through every single page because that's not allowed, but I will show you a few things that I particularly enjoyed, hopefully to whet your appetite, as I certainly do recommend this. So a quick look at the back of the book for anybody who's interested. As you can see there, it's not a huge book. I think it's about 30 pages, so it's not tremendously large. Another reason why I can't go through too much of it, because I really don't want to give away too much, but it's absolutely beautiful. The design is gorgeous. The illustrations are so beautiful. And definitely very, very festive. So I'll just read a few pages. I won't go into too much detail. As I said, I don't want to spoil it, and also I'm not really allowed to read the whole thing. And I'll show you a couple of illustrations that I personally really love, but I won't go into too much spoiler detail as I think it's just gorgeous. It is quite expensive. I think this had an RRP of $19.99. Yes, $19.99 US dollars, $24.99 Canadian dollars. I actually don't remember how much I paid for it. I don't think it was more than 20 British pounds, I don't think. But obviously for a 30-page book, it's quite expensive, but it's definitely more of a collector's edition or a collector's item rather than anything else. And we have the start of the story and a look at the Dunder Mifflin Scranton branch. Isn't that absolutely adorable? Most of the characters are very, very recognisable. There are a couple where I feel like maybe because the individuals don't have the most distinguishing features, the characters could be anybody, but for the most part, I think it's very clear who the characters are meant to be. And it says here, "'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through Dunder Mifflin, not an accountant was stirring, not a mouse was a-clicking. Pam's painting was hung by reception with care, and Stanley had filled in his last crossword square." As you can see here, we have references to various things that happen in the office. We, of course, have Kevin and his chili pot. And then Santa Claus arrives, and you can probably guess who was meant to be playing Santa Claus. With regards to when this is set, we have Gabe here, so it's kind of later season The Office, and I feel like, well, it's not canon, put it that way, but I think that having a variety of characters from across the seasons I thought worked really, really well. I think the gifts that the characters were given are great. So much thought gone into it to make the gifts suitable for each character. And here we have one of my personal favourite moments. Maybe the last thing I'll show you, maybe not. But we have a Christmas tree decorated with Dundies and Beets, which is just an absolute joy. Okay, this is the last thing I'll show just because I really like the design of all of the characters. I think they look really, really great. As I said, some of them are definitely very, very recognisable as being certain characters. And the animation style in general, it's just, or the illustration style rather, is just really, really beautiful. It is stunning, and I thoroughly recommend reading it out loud. I did do that. It flows really, really well. Everything flows well within the usual rhythm of the original poem. It scans very well, and in general, it's quite funny, quite entertaining, and as I said, it's maybe a little expensive for being a 30-page book. The quality is there, the print quality, the illustrations, I was going to say animation again, the illustrations are absolutely stunning, the writing quality is great, it is a short book. So maybe a little expensive, but as I said, it's more of a collector's item than anything else. And if you're a fan of The Office, I thoroughly recommend it, and as I said, I definitely recommend reading it out loud. It is an absolute joy. The Night Before Christmas at Dunder Mifflin. Did I say the name of the book at the beginning? I don't know if I did. It's called The Night Before Christmas at Dunder Mifflin, and it is just absolutely beautiful if you're a fan of The Office, and in particular if you like Christmas. This is one that is definitely worth getting.